Tell me, what are the recent challenges you faced in your current project? Tell me about yourself or brief me about yourself. Explain about your project architecture or overall flow of your project. What are the tools you are using to check the logs? How the microservices communicating to each other in your applications? What are the AI tools you are using in your applications? How AI tool is helping you to debug and smartly code your applications? How you are doing the deployment? How you are handling the production issues? What are the production issues recently you fixed in DB side? So all these questions, you go any of the interviews, these are the common questions definitely you will face. In this session, I am going to explain 35 scenario-based interview questions and answers. Please spend around 1 hour times in this session, and I will explain you 35 questions and answers. I bet you go any of the interview, you will get such questions, and there is a high chance you will be selected. I will explain you few very frequently asked questions, and I covered all areas in your with respect to your current project and current role. What are the challenges you faced? How you handle all these things? I am going to explain. Let's see one by one the questions. So the first question is, tell me about yourself. You go any interview, these questions you will get. In alternatively, they will ask, you have to explain. So whenever somebody is asking, tell me about yourself, you don't speak everything in front of them. You speak, what is your number of experience? What are the technology stacks you used? And what is your project name? What your project overall, your objective or your object of your project, like what is the use case of project, you tell in one line only. And what are the tools you are using? So just overall things you tell. You say, this is Narendra, having around 10 years of experience. I have mostly worked in banking domain, and I used core Java Spring Boot microservices, and my project is a microservice based project. To communicate between microservices, I use REST and Apache Kafka. Along with, I also, if you really worked in this AWS or AI tool or Docker Kubernetes, then you say about it. We used AWS services such as EC2, ELK, RDS3, whatever component or whatever services you used, you tell. We used to deploy our application by using Docker and Kubernetes, you can say. And we are using logging tool like Splunk or ELK. And we are using Grafana for metrics and monitoring. So these are the tools we are using, you can say that. Then you can say, currently I am working in XYZ project. The project is providing solutions for the banking customer. It's a banking project, mostly used in so country, or this is for this client. You can explain that. Please tell me that's you. Then you say, that's it from my end, or that's all from my end. If you wanted to discuss anything specific, please let me know. So these things only smoothly you need to speak, no need to speak much. Then the interviewer will ask whether he wanted to evaluate you from the technology side, or he will ask some questions regarding your project or current role and responsibility. According to your questions, you can answer. So no need to memorize, no need to panic. Just think before going to attend any interview. If somebody will ask, tell me about yourself, I will speak like this. That's all. No need to worry. Then move to the next questions. They will ask, explain about your project flow, high level architecture, a high level flow of your project. You take any project, there will be UI. And you see, this is you can say our applications getting accessed by UI. UI may be by using a mobile app or a browser or a third-party applications. Anyone can be accessed to our applications. So any request will come from user end, that will be handled by API gateway, and API gateway will do the traffic and will do the authentication and authorizations, and it will, in API gateway we are doing this infra level authentication and authorizations or traffic redirections. Then API gateway will redirect your request to the respective microservices as per your request, and once the microservices will get the request, it will communicate to other microservices or other APIs as expected. So as need, it will communicate to DB. Our application is a microservice based application, so multiple services working together, each services having different DB as per their purpose. So you can say our user service using MongoDB or customer service using MongoDB, whereas our account service using Oracle DB. So like this, you can say what are the services you involve or what are the services you have in your applications, and each services using what are the DBs. Some of the services they're using one common DB. So this is your project flow from UI to database. Then how your APIs or services providing like authenticating or authorization, how you are managing, how you are securing your APIs or microservices. You can say we are using both JWT and Auth2. So then you say about we are using Docker and Kubernetes. Docker we are using to create our image of our services, whereas Kubernetes we are using for deployment or managing the orchestration of the images. So you can say we are using multiple tools to monitor or observe our applications or check the logs of our applications like Splunk, or if you are using AWS we are using ELK and some monitoring tool like Grafana, so or Prometheus. So all these things we are using, and for tracing we are using Jenkins. So you can say these are the monitoring tools we are using. So this is all about our project. So each microservices we are building with Spring Boot REST applications. So if the communication is event driven, or if the communication is like not dependent on immediate response, we are using Kafka in that case. So this is your technology stacks, and this is your high level flow you should be able to explain. You take any project, e-commerce or banking, or in any advanced level project, the project flow will be common like this, from UI to DB, and what are the deployment activities you are doing, what are the things you are using, Docker, Kubernetes and all. So you can explain what are the tools you are using, what are the DB you are using. So now move to next questions. How the microservices are communicating to each other. You say we are having two kinds of communication. One is synchronous, another is asynchronous. Whenever we need immediate response, that is called synchronous communications. We are using REST, and for example, order service will communicate to the payment service. So until and unless a payment is not success, order cannot be success. So order depend on payment. So this kind of communication is known as synchronous communication. We are using REST API to communicate to each other. Wherever we need event driven communications, like a order is created, so we are sending a notification to the end users, or payment is happened. After payment we are sending a notifications. So any event occur in our applications, we are sending notifications. So there is millions of transactions, millions of event happening. We don't want to take it as a synchronous, we'll take it as asynchronous. We are using Kafka there to handle those batch wise updates to the customer. So you can say we are using Apache Kafka, and Apache Kafka is very useful for coupling or improve the scalability of our applications. So we can say this is the way we are communicating to each other among the services. Now coming to the next questions. How you are securing your microservices or APIs. You know, your service is a combination of APIs, right? A microservice having multiple APIs or multiple controller. So they are communicating to each other. That means API communications or microservice communications. You take any communications, we should have a authentication and authorizations. Authentication means whether a user or a request is a valid request for that service. That is authentication. Authorization means after accessing to that service, what are the permission he has having to do the actions on that. So that is authorization. So how you are securing your APIs communications or service communications. So you can say we are using both JWT and Auth2. So and we are using HTTPS for sensitive data and encryption, all these things you can say. So you can say these two we are using. Okay, if they will ask more about this JWT and auth2, make sure that you know about it and you should be able to explain about it. So let's move to next questions. Describe a recent challenge faced and how you fixed. So what are the recent challenge you fixed? You take any project work, you are not only for single, you will face multiple challenges in productions, fixing issue in productions, or providing a deliverable for a new features enhancement development. You will face some challenges. So how you fixed it and what is that challenge you should have. So going forward, I'm going to explain many more challenges, like each questions answer I'm going to explain that is a challenge you can say. And you need to, even though you faced multiple challenges, whenever an interviewer is asking this, so at that same times you will not able to recall or you will not able to explain. Even though you explain the problems, sometimes you will not able to explain the fix, because when in reality you fixed by involving multiple teams, or sometimes you forgot. So before going to the interviews, make sure that you analyzed. If you did not remember any real problems or real bugs you fixed in productions or recently, you create some stories in your mind and all the cross things you think, what is the problem, how you fixed it, and how you make sure that going forward it will not happen. All these scenarios you say. So suppose I am giving one example here. One customer sending some amount to his friend, the money got deducted from the account but it is not transferred to his friend. So this is a customer issues. So how you will debug these issues, like in this transactions got failed. So here customer is using a mobile app or a by using browsers, he is accessing that applications, and it is sending the request to the font service, and font service communicating to account service communicating to transaction service, then transaction service deducting the amount, doing the real transactions and sending a notification to the font service. So these are the services is involved. What happened, account service is validated and the amount got deducted, but in transaction service, whenever doing the real transaction, it is trying to connect to a banking internal APIs, but that API is getting failed because of network issues or timeout error he is getting. So why it happens, you can say that in our DB queries, the transaction who is occurring by that DB queries, it is not optimized. Because of that, the DB query is holding the connection pools. You do any transactions, there will be a connections between to the DB, because post transactions there will be a write operations. So your account will be deducted amount and your remaining balance or that transaction detail will be stored into a DB, right? So you can say that connection pool existed. Due to that, it is timeout error and getting timeout error and customer not able to transfer the amount successfully. Why connection pool existed? Because of slow queries. So due to slow queries, one transaction taking more times and resolving the connection pool object more, so that other transactions not getting chance to use the connections pools. So you can say this is the challenges or issues or bug in the productions. So what fix you provided? You say I optimize the query. By applying the index to the table, so that the query will not take much time and it will release the connection pool. It will do the transactions as soon as possible. So you can explain, we optimize the query and we apply the indexes to the table. Like this we fixed. Okay, so we increase the response time. It improved the response time. So this is one of the issues I just told you. Like this, you should create some more issues, think some more issues. Don't worry, I'm going to explain few more issues and a few more challenges in this session itself. So like this, you should be able to answer what is the issue, how to fix it, and what prevention you take care. Like you will be make sure that sufficient connection pool you declared as per your memory size. You say that we increase the connection pool, number of connection pool element, means number of connection pool object, that also we increased, optimized, so that going forward these issues won't come. So all this way you taken care. Okay, DB indexing and optimize the query and change the code, all these things you can tell. Okay, now let's move to the next questions. How do you approach a production bug from the moment it's reported? This is a very good question. If you really worked, you are not only a developer, you developed a features or enhancement you did, or part of a scratch level development project. Definitely you will get some production issue post your deployment, and you, as you are the owner for the developer or for the module or for the product, so you should be responsible to fix that issues in a productions. So whenever you are getting any issues in your code, so how you will fix it, how generally you fix it? So you will check like what is the impact of the issue. You need to analyze that, how many customer impacted, and what is the error rate, and whether it is currently running or not, it is a full outage or it is a partially outage. Like you need to analyze. How you will analyze it? By using, first you need to analyze the issues, what is the impact, a number of customer impacted. So how you will analyze? By checking the logs. So how you will check the logs? So any issues, you will check what time it is occurred by using times or some correlation ID or some transactions ID. You will check the logs. So then you will see in that log what is the failures. Okay, so you may use some metrics tool like Grafana or Prometheus, so to see like what is the report actually, how many, what is the memory currently using CPU, and what is the rate, error rate. All this you will check by using Grafana. So suppose you find that some of the customer, it is facing issues like they are not able to transfer more than 50,000 for the particular times. So it is a peak hours time, like in a salary day your application getting used more and millions of customer trying to do the transactions, and you observe that more than 50,000 if anyone is transferring, he's facing issues. If you face these issues, so by using ELK or Splunk log Grafana, you will able to know that these are the issues, like many more customer impacted. Now you will try to stabilize your systems. So you will provide a temporary solutions to your applications. Instead of declaring full outage, you will declare a partial outage. You will say like you will enable a feature flag. You will mention that don't try to transfer more than 50,000, so that you are minimizing the error rate. Means many more customer, they need some small transaction, small transfer, so for them no impact. So those are wants to transfer more amount, they will get notify by using this error message. Also you will inform to the support teams. So support team will handle those customer calling, and once emergency transfer, they will inform this is the partially outage is running in our applications, so that no customer will be panicking. So you will try to stabilize if it is partially outage. Then you need to analyze the logs and metrics. What is the real service among this like font service, account service, or transaction service? Which service exactly it is failing, why it is failing? So you use Jenkins or this metrics tool Grafana to find what is the exact service, why it is failing. So what is the root cause of it, you will find. So accordingly you will provide the fix. Don't try to fix in your productions directly. You will try to replicate the same issues in your lower environment. You will load the same volume of data in your load environment, like you will restore your customer DB to your UAT or staging environment. You will try to hit that flows by using Spring Boot, by using this Postman. You will see, you will observe the same issues, then you fix, then you provide the fix by how you can optimize. Suppose this kind of fix by optimizing your applying index, or if you are providing some optimized solutions, so what happened exactly, you will provide the exact solutions. Then you have to do the testing. So thoroughly you test all the scenarios, so that it will never occur in going forward. And then you have to deploy it. If testing, all the performance testing, integration testing, functionality testing, all testing part, then you deploy it. It is as a hot fix. You will deploy immediately to your production system. Then after deployment you do the monitors. So whenever any issues occurred in the productions, so you have to first analyze what is the impact of the issues, accordingly you will take the actions. So this kind of explanation you need to give. Meanwhile they will ask how you fix, like some cross questions also they will ask, so please be prepared for that. Okay, now let's move to next questions. A bug occurred in only productions, why and how did you debug it? Occurring bug in productions, it is expected. it is expected, because a lower environment we cannot test all edge cases or all corner cases. In productions only, real customer will face some issues. So we may not have that much load of our volume data to test. Even though we tested, we have not covered all corner cases. It is not at all possible. So that is practical. In productions we will get such issues. So why we get, you got it. Now how you will debug? So as like I told you, you need to debug by using log. So if by using Splunk or ELK, whatever log tools you are using, you will debug it, and by using some monitoring tools you can debug it, and you will come to know that what is the root cause, and try to recreate the same issues in the staging environment, lower environment. Then suppose you say that I found that some race conditions, like they're asking how did you fix. That means you need to tell what is the issues. You say I found that some race conditions. What is race conditions? Like few customer did some duplicate transactions. So in a account, whenever balance getting deducted, that times it check deduct and it will transfer. First it will deduct, then transfer, then update the balance, whatever remaining it will be. So if a particular transactions or multiple threads at a time trying to do a transactions in a single account or something like that, so some common resource is multiple threads trying to access it, so there is a chances of duplicate. So this kind of issues you can explain, like some duplicate transactions happened in the peak hours, some of the customer reported. So how I fixed, I find some race conditions, like due to multiple threads at a time accessing, it happens. So how I fixed, you say that those code chunks, those code snippet I marked as thread shape, like I applied some thread shape logic, so it got fixed. So after fixing, once again you need to test it, and you need to deploy, then you need to monitor. So like this you can explain in front of interview. Okay, now the next question is, explain a hard to debug issues and why it was complex. They will ask. So you tell a hard to debug, that means you are not able to debug that issues, and it is very complex in productions. Some of the issues you will not able to debug. Suppose a customer not getting any errors, but he is feeling slowness. If a customer taking 3 seconds time to successfully make a transactions, so it is a slow. So if it is slow, you will not get any errors, right? So in that case you need to check the logs and some tools, Jenkins, as I told you, for tracing the logs. You will find that why it is taking time, whether like what is the, whether external API or why it is, which API in between services, which service exactly doing the root cause. Sometimes what happen, as the applications is running for a long times, and it is retaining some of the object which is never garbage collected. So like this, our memory of applications, like it is keep on increasing. The dump memory, the heap memory, it is keep on increasing. Even garbage collections happening regularly, but still the heap memory is increasing, the dump memory. In that case your application will be damn slow. So that's why in any banking system or any e-commerce applications, they are having a shutdown periods. They used to shut down once in 3 months. If your heap dump is totally full, your CPU memory is very less, now it is your application becoming very slow. So in that case, a developer cannot able to handle such things in the code wise, because he's not getting any errors, but he's experiencing slowness. So that kind of issues. So you will be make sure that garbage collection is happening correctly, and you will be make sure that the object life cycle is maintaining correctly, and you will analyze the heap dump of your applications. Whenever your applications is running live, that time you will get the dump. How you will get the heap dump of your applications? There is some Docker command or there is some Linux command. You will fire, you will get this heap dump. So you will analyze what is the memory size, CPU memory size, whether heap dump is keep on increasing. So all this analysis you need to do, and accordingly you will provide the optimizations or garbage collections, or how you can reduce the memory size, what is the loopholes of increasing the heap dump, whether the object is properly lifecycle management or not. So if your object is not using, why it is active. So all these things you will analyze and will provide the solutions. This kind of problem is hard to debug because it is not a code issue, it is a performance issue because of a heap dump got more. Okay, so you can explain this kind of criteria or scenario you faced. So if you'll tell this kind of things, a interviewer definitely will believe that he has some real experience or you really worked. Not only this kind of questions is helping you to crack the interviews, but also it will be helpful, I am sure, if you will face this kind of issues in your applications, so you will able to fix by applying these are the solutions whatever I'm saying. So if you are really worked in a production based or in a project throughout more times in your careers, you may face such kind of issues also. Please let me know in a comment sections. So if any of the issues you faced among this whatever I'm discussing, or if any of the issues you faced and you wanted to publish it to others so that others also will get help by discussing, by knowing your issues, please let me know in the comment sections. So how do you trace errors across multiple microservices? So whenever any request is coming, it is not only processing by one services, internally or externally multiple services involved for a particular request to solve the response, right? So how it will be like, how you will trace it? A request is coming and where it is failing, and you make sure that you will use a correlation ID or transaction ID. Any request there will be ID at the time of request will be created, that time say ID will be created, and that will be idempotent all the times for all the service, that is constant. So by using that ID, you will track that ID where it is getting failed among the multiple services. So it will help the transactions ID or trace ID or correlations ID. By using that, you will make use of it. Okay, now what are the techniques help when logs are missing or insufficient? Some of the scenarios, some of the errors you will get, but you will not find any log for that, because for that corner case log is not written, actually not added the logs. And sometimes, as I told you, some duplicate transactions happened or some slowness of your applications, like slowness if it is happening, so you will not get some such logs. So in that case, you will check the DB logs, you will check application log, you will check, and tracking trace you will check. By that you will come to know that which particular API it is taking times. So like this you can check, and after found the real solutions, you will be, what you will do, you try to replicate the same issues in your lower environment and provide the missing logs in your application, so that going forward if any issues will come in that area, you will be able to track it. So that solutions you have to do. Now how do you isolate whether an issue is code or DB or infra or external API? As I told you, whenever a issue is coming, you don't think that that issue is only for your code quality or you have missed something, because always we are testing before going to the productions, right? Code may not be the root cause of your issues. So if you are checking your logs, Splunk or ELK, whatever you are using, if you are checking and you are not finding any log in your code, in your application, that means that is not an applications issue. You are having application log, DB log, and you are having maybe some external API getting time, so your everything is fine, but whenever our application calling to the external API, that is not responding for the time being. So it may be some CPU or memory related things, as I told you, like if CPU is full or heap dump is increasing, keep on increasing, so some memory leak happened. So it can be anything in your application. So how you will know that? By using this tracing tools or by using this monitoring tool, Grafana or Zipkin or Splunk. By using that, you will identify if it is not, you will check the application log. If it is not related any logs, then your no code issues. You have to check DB logs if any issues like connection pool existed or something happened. So in DB log also you will able to find if you check DB logs. Then you will check like CPU or external API response handle. So by checking this, you will finalize it belongs to which areas. Okay. Now once microservices goes down, then how you will handle this kind of scenario in your applications? What is the impact? So you take any e-commerce or banking application, each one of the services is down. We don't want to make our whole applications down. If payment service is not working in your Flipkart or Amazon service, they are not closing or they are not shut down the whole applications. They are saying like still some of the customer, they wanted to see the product, they wanted to add the product, they wanted to do some other transactions, so the payment is not happening. That doesn't mean that somebody wanted to register, so some other applications functionalities they can access. So but if they will not provide a solutions to the customer or provide a information to the customer, currently our payment service is not working, what will happen? The application will be overburdened, because for a customer, he or she doesn't know about the failures until and unless he will not do a real transactions. So everybody will do a transactions. After failures, he will came to know that, oh, this is a payment failure, and still he will feel that some mistakes in my end, that's what it is not happening. So keep on repeating those things. So millions of customer trying in the same times, whenever peak hours, whenever big billions time, whenever some offers is going on. So that times you should be aware of it. If some service is failing, immediately you will say a message to the, or you will enable a flag to the customer that currently our payment service is not working, please try after some times, so that a customer will be not panic, he will be aware of it, or something is going on now. Okay, as like you are getting a message in between to whenever you are using your application, banking application, like this hour to this hours our bank service will be not active because of we are doing some maintenance or doing some deployment, like that we are getting. So these kind of things, how it is happening. So we maintained circuit breaker or resilience 4J. These are the mechanism we already implemented, so that if any service is not responding, and some retry mechanism, so once it will be request, twice, thrice, so more than 3 times it will not allow the same request to the same service. So retry mechanism, circuit breaker, it will open whenever if the services is down, it will totally closed and it will send a message to the end user. Sometimes it will be half open, it will validate whether the service is up or not. How do you design schema changes with 0 downtimes? Here the requirement is there will be a schema change in your database, and you wanted to apply that schema change without making down of your applications. So how you will do? You will do by using backward compatibility changes. Then you will apply the fix. Then you will monitor the changes. So backward compatibility means, for example, there is a table called order table, and in that order table, this column name, for example, order status, you wanted to rename the column name. So this renaming the column name, you should not do directly in the productions. So what you will do, you will add a new column called order status new, any name you can give. And what you will do, you will set the values initially, all values to null. What you will do, phase wise, you will copy from old table data to new table, sorry, from old column data to new column. Why phase wise? Because maybe you will have lakhs of or millions of records. So if you will copy all at once, it will be very slow. So you will copy all the data to the new columns. Then in the code, you will change, instead of referring the old column, you will change to new column name in the code. After that, you will remove to this old column along with the values. That also you will remove batch wise, like phase wise. You will not remove at once, so that it will not down your applications. Your customer will not feel any slowness. And if this kind of requirement will come, definitely you will not do directly into your production system. You will do this activity in your lower environment like QA or UAT. You will test it by applying all this amount of data. Then everything going fine means you will apply the same changes in your productions. So the question was, if you wanted to do the schema changes in productions without making down of your applications, how will you achieve it? So this will be the approach. So next, move to the next questions. So now they may ask, did you get a chance to fix any database issues in productions? So you can say yes. So whatever database issue you fixed, you can explain. So for example, I am saying, like, you can say this example also. Whenever during the peak hours, my application was slow. So due to that, users face some timeout issues. So you can explain the problem is in peak hours, so application performing slow. So users getting timeout error. So what investigation you will do? You will check the logs, okay, and you find that by checking the logs, Splunk log or Grafana logs. So you find that there is a database connections existed. So less number of database connections are there. So due to that, it was the why the database connection is existed, because of slow queries. So as the queries is slow, so one query is holding one of the connection pool object, whereas other transactions like other queries waiting for other connections object. So why this query is slow? Because it is not optimized. So that means in the table indexes are not applied the indexes and all. So you applied that indexes and optimize the query. So this way you improved your performance of your applications. That means your applications was slow because of connections pool existed, actually connection shortage of connections pool, that due to of slowness of your queries. So you improved your queries by applying the indexes in your tables. So this is one of the example I told. So you can explain this way you fixed one database issues in productions. Now let's move some questions in Kafka. So Kafka is a very good technology. We can say it is used for asynchronous communications. So you say for event driven communications we are using Kafka for our microservices event driven communications. So if you use Kafka, your services will be more reliable and performance wise it will be very good. So for example, in last session also I told, let's say Manoja is transferring some 10,000 amount to his friend and he is getting issue like account from Manoja account, amount got deducted, but actual money is not transferred to his friend's account. That means Manoja is using mobile app and he's making a request to fund service making a request to account service calling to the transaction service, and transaction service sending a means doing the operations for transferring the actual amount. After that is sending a notification whether the transaction successfully happened or not. So here the transaction successfully, suppose transaction successfully happened, and after that this notification transaction service waiting for notification service. So until and unless the message will not send or notification email or message will not send, then it will not complete. So if you wait this, then it will be slow because many more transactions happen, right? If one service depend on another service, that means transaction service did the job and sending a notification message and waiting for the response, that message really received by the users or not. So this kind of event driven activities, like a transaction happened, a event happened, instead of using a REST service call or synchronous call, here you will make use of asynchronous call. So here in the transaction service we'll use this Kafka. So this Kafka will help you to publish the message. Here transaction service is the publisher or producers and notification service is the consumer for that message. So it can be notification service or audit or complaint service, anything, like any transaction will happen. So that event will occur and that message will notify to the customer. So here Kafka is helping. If you use Kafka, so it will not wait for immediate response. It will be loose coupling, like it will be not slow for any more whenever peak time. So any number of transactions will happen slowly, batch wise. Kafka will take all this message and will send to the end users or the customers. So Kafka we are using for event driven communications or asynchronous communications. So it is more reliable whenever we are using in our applications. Okay, so now what is the next questions? How do you handle message failures and retries? Like any message is, if it is failure to reach to the destination, like to the customer, how Kafka is handling? So Kafka will retry as per we configure. Kafka will retry the message. So if in a particular number of try, as you configured 3 times suppose, so if it is not reached to the customer, Kafka will not lose that message. It will make use of DLT, this dead letter topic of this Kafka, and it will make sure that it will retry once. So do you think that it will retry multiple times means customer, it is sending to customer multiple times? No, it is not sending, because customer is eye dependent in the nature. So after doing this, so we are having error and logging, so we can monitor. So what I'm trying to say, we are having some retry mechanism. After that, if the messages is not sent, so it will send to DLT, and it will retry, it will send, and for each message for the transactions, we are maintaining a transaction ID or correlation ID, so that Kafka will be make sure that it will be not duplicate. Even though Kafka is retrying multiple times, only once only it will be delivered to the customer. So it will check if any lag happened in your consumer side, or why it is happened, like in notification service or by Kafka. So it will use some logging or error handling mechanism like Grafana or Splunk log and all. You can check, then we can monitor this. So it will be definitely will send. So now, how do you ensure that exactly once or at least once it is processing? As I told you, Kafka even processing multiple times, but it will only reach to the customer only once. Okay, it will not send the message twice. So exactly once it will process. Actually, whenever Kafka is processing a message, it is once it will be successfully processed, it will maintain a commit that is called Kafka offset. Okay, so it will commit once the message will send successfully, it will commit to offset. Okay, that offset value will become 1. If any failures before commit, the message is reprocessed. If it is commit, that means success, the message will not reprocess. As I told you, consumer is independent in nature. That means one transaction's ID is maintaining in the consumer side. So Kafka will send the message only once, and it will be processed and commit the offset. Okay, with the same transactions. So by this way, no duplicate message will send to the customer. So Kafka is maintaining that. So this is a very good question. Now let's move to the next questions. How do you debug consumer lag or slow processing? That means your Kafka is working, and suppose your message is not sending as expected to the customer. How you will be debug that? So first you will debug the consumer service, why it is lagging and how many messages are there in the Kafka. So you will check how many messages are still pending in the Kafka side, and you will check the application logs and in the consumer side, and you will say whether retry is happening correctly or not, or is there any exceptions in the consumer service. So you will check, you will verify is there any logic due to that it is the business logic, or anything due to that it is slow, or why it is becoming slow. You will check, like due to the external APIs or any DB call. So you will check. Okay, so then you will check the configurations like concurrency and all. You will check the consumer configurations. If you find that this consumer is not performing as expected, for temporarily you can scale the number of instances or pods the consumers. After that, you can provide the real solutions like the permanent solutions. You can monitor the CPU and memory or database performance for the consumer applications. So once you finalize the root cause of the issues, you can take the proper action to fix it. So the question was, if any lagging in the message processing, so how you will debug it? So in the consumer side, you will check whether consumer is capable of handling multiple messages at the same times. What is the root cause of it? After finding the root cause of the message, you will provide the actual solutions of it. Okay, so now another questions. Describe Kafka related production issue you resolve. So you describe one Kafka related production issue. So as I told you, you can say similar kind of issues. I'm facing some lagging or slowness by reaching the message or event message to the customer. It is getting delayed, so that is the problem. So consumer side, there is some lag. So messages were getting delayed to reach to the customer side. So that can be a production issue, you can say. So you have to check the why it is lag by using the metrics tool or Splunk log. You can check what is the root cause. So you checked it and you find that some of the queries is not optimized and the DB calls is getting time. So DB call is slow. So you optimize the query and apply the DB. Why it is so slow? Maybe it is not indexed, or the proper data is not stored, or the query, like whatever issues you fixed it, then you got the result like it is improved as expected. So similar kind of, it's a performance issues, so you fixed it by finding the root cause of it. You can explain this. Okay, now Kafka related questions I finalized. These are the important questions. Now come to some of the questions regarding Docker. You know, Docker is a very good concept in Java. So Docker Kubernetes and this AWS is helping to deploy your applications. So you should know about how Docker working and what are the problem, what are the real life scenarios, questions, what are the challenges you faced in Docker. So Docker is helping you to create the images of your Spring Boot applications or microservices. So they will ask how you can optimize your Docker image like of your Spring Boot application. So they want a Docker image, a optimized Docker image. How you will create? You say I am using multi-stage build mechanism. That means whenever I will create the Docker image, I will take two stages, one stage for build, another stage for run instead of single step. So I will take two steps. Build is different and run is different. And whenever I use to create the image, I will not use the JDK. I will use JRE version. So it will be lightweight. The base versions I will use lightweight. Okay, and these are the things you need to take care. You see, multi-stage build, you are using this mechanism to keep the Docker image small, and you will use lightweight to reduce the image size. So you will use JRE and you will use Alpine. Alpine is a Linux OS which size is 5 to 7 MB only, very small. So in that way, instead of using JDK, you will use JRE so that your Docker size will be very small and tiny. So what are the configurations you are using, the environment variables? So you will be check that, and you will be make sure that the JVM settings like performance wise, you will check the JVM settings, whether GC will collect properly, garbage collection will properly happen, whether you allocate the adequate memory to your manage to your image by the container. So all these factor you will work on it whenever you wanted to create a optimized Docker image. Okay, so these are the approach you followed. You can explain. Okay, now let's move to next question. What Docker issues have you faced in productions? It's a very good question. If you are really using Docker, you would have faced some challenges or issues in your productions. So you have to answer these questions. You say that whenever my Docker image I'm running, so sometimes I'm getting memory leak issues because of the Docker container. Each Docker container having a limit, and but our Docker image or our Spring Boot application taking more space than the allocated memory by Docker container. So that is the common issues you used to fix. Sometimes your image need more memory to run, but your Docker container will not allow. So you have to reduce your image size by using this multi-stage builds process. You can reduce your image size. Okay, and you need to create these lightweight images, and you have to, suppose you faced some config related issues, environment variables and all, you will fix that. So you can say like app is failing due to wrong environment variable in container sometimes. So you corrected that environment variable. This is one of the issues you can mention. And other issues, as I told you, the size issues, like the memory is a problem. So you can make the JVM memory settings more, so that your size issue will be gone. Actually, you will be fixed this way. And one more issue, you can say your image were slow, and whenever pull and deploy it is slow. Okay, so if you are using multi-stage build or lightweight, then it will be, you will not get such issues. So specifically you got the issues because of memory and slowness and the configurations not done correctly. So these are the areas generally you use to face issues. You can explain to the interviewer. Okay, now let's move to next questions. How does Kubernetes handles self-healing and scaling? You know, Kubernetes also a very good tech stacks. You have to know whether you are a developer or DevOps engineers. If you are a developer and you are using Kubernetes, Docker, AWS, you must have to know all these things. And if your experience is more than 4 or 5 years, so you should be aware of it. All these Kubernetes, Docker, AI tools, AWS, Apache Kafka, microservices, all these things you have to know. So in Kubernetes also, I have collected a few interview questions, like scenario based questions. Let's discuss. Now the question is how the Kubernetes is managing by self-healing and scaling. So you know how Kubernetes helping of deploying your applications without making down your applications, like zero downtimes. So how self-healing it is happening. So whenever you deploy your application, you can say Kubernetes provides self-healing by restarting failed pods and scaling automatically by increasing and decreasing the pods based on the loads. So that means if any pods it is crashed, so automatically it will be restart by Kubernetes. And if any pods it is not healthy, so Kubernetes will replace it. Okay, so if a pod it is going to be down, or it is scheduled to the downs, so Kubernetes know that, so Kubernetes will schedule a new pod so that it will be reschedule another nodes. Okay, so if any pods is not healthy, Kubernetes will identify that and it will be restart. If it is not working, it will remove. Okay, so this way Kubernetes helping to auto scale of our applications. Okay, and you see we are having two types of scaling. One is horizontal scaling, another is vertical scaling. So at the high peak time, or whenever offer is going on, our applications need more transactional or more request is coming to our application. That times if any high traffic will come, automatically the number of pods will increase by this Kubernetes. So this is called horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling means in the high traffic time, if your pod will not increase, it will check if your pod need more memory to serve your application, so it will increase. It was 100, now it become 500, so the memory it will increase. Vertical scaling means the pods memory it will increase. Horizontal scaling means the number of pods it will increase. So by using this scaling mechanism, horizontal or vertical, so Kubernetes will help to auto scale your applications, like it will help. Okay, so now let's move to next questions. How do you manage config and secret in your Kubernetes? So in Kubernetes, to manage config and secrets, so we are using config map, and we are using this environment variable, config map and environment variable. So we are having two kinds of data. One is sensitive data, another is non-sensitive data. So sensitive data means passwords, tokens, API keys, all are sensitive data. So all these sensitive data to store, it will use secrets. Okay, and non-sensitive data like URLs, feature flags, environment values, so all these things it will use in the map, config map. So Kubernetes used these sensitive and non-sensitive data in these ways. Okay, the question was how it will manage. So you can say it is managing by using secret and config map. Okay, now how do you perform zero downtime deployments using Kubernetes? It is a very good question. You have to know actually. So whenever you are doing any deployment, how you will be ensure that your deployment will parallelly will run at the same time, so your application will never down. So customer will not feel any slowness and all. You say that we are using blue green deployment. So whenever you are going to deploy your applications, so always what happen, you know, one new pod one by one created with your new features. Okay, so pods updated one by one, that is called a rolling update. Okay, so there is no users will not impact anything, and traffic goes only the pods that are ready. That means the new pod will be created and it will check whether it is healthy or not. Will check. Kubernetes is doing all these things. So it will create a new pod as per your new features deployment. So that new pod, if it is healthy, then it will redirect the traffic to the new pods. Okay, so if it is unhealthy, it will restart automatically. Okay, so then slowly the traffic will be redirect one by one from one pod to other pod. So like this it will finish, it will redirect all the traffic from the old prod to new prod. Actually that is called blue green deployment. So what happened, you see this diagram. So what happened before, this blue means our older pods. Okay, so already it is running. Whenever you deploy anything new, so what they will do, they will create some new pod and they will check whether it is healthy or not. If it is healthy, so it will redirect to the green. So then once the green, everything will be fine, the traffic will be stopped to the blue, and slowly they will terminate one by one the pods from the blue. So like this, they are using this blue green deployment strategy. You say we are using blue green deployment strategy so that it is zero downtime deployment. No customer will feel that any slowness of your applications. So Kubernetes is taking care of all this, like checking whether any pod is down or it is restarting, and at the time of peak hours it is increasing number of pods either horizontally or vertically. So much things this Kubernetes taking care of your deployments activities. You should know about it. Okay, now describe a deployment failures and recovery approach. So that means you deployed something, but unfortunately your new feature deployment or your new versions of your applications, whatever recent deployment you did, it is not worked as expected. So how you will recover and how you will get back to the old state? That is the questions. So any deployment failed, how you will know that? So after deployment, you will monitor your applications by using Splunk or monitoring tool Grafana or Prometheus and all, right? So you will see that some of the customer is raising reported some issues, or our application is not responding, or it is getting timeout error. So by this way, at that monitoring stage, you will finalize some issues happen. So what happen immediately? You will point to the world traffic. Okay, so this failure you will handle, and what you will do, as you are using this blue green deployment strategy, so what you will do, you immediately the traffic you will move to the world, and you will roll back your changes, and so that you will refer your old pods, not new pods. Okay, so for example, I am saying like you find that some issues related to like you monitor and found that some issues of getting because of configuration issues. That means some configuration is not configured correctly. You find that some issues, configuration issues. So what you will do, you corrected the configuration. Like initially in this blue green strategy, you will not allow to this your traffic or everything will be redirected to the old pods instead of new pods. After that, you will provide the fix as your fix is configuration related. Then you will apply to the, you will pass the traffic to the new pods like green pods. So like this you can make use of it. That means you should have this strategy. You can say that I am using this strategy blue green. We are using blue green deployment strategy, so it is easy to roll back our deployment. What is your rollback strategy? You can say that we are using blue green deployment strategy. Okay, so is there any issues, you immediately will traffic back to the previous stable versions. Okay, you are traffic back as I told you. So no downtime is happening, so customer will not know that what is behind the scene, what is the things is happening. Okay, now why was a bug not caught in testing and what improved after? So that means you see the bugs or issues we are facing in productions, generally it not happened in our lower environment, QA or UAT environment. It is expected because we have not tested in our QA or UAT environment. We have not tested it with that many number of data, or the load of data will be less. Even though we applied load of performance testing we did in same volume of data, sometimes we have not tested all corner cases or edge cases which may occur in the real productions environment. That is expected. And productions environment, as it is continuously running, sometimes we will get memory leak issues and heap dump. All these things will be like, we'll analyze, we'll able to know that. So this kind of issues is really tough to reproduce or really tough to know before in the lower environment. So that is expected because of limited test coverage we did, and the realistic data or load volumes of data. So we are not able to do that in lower environment. So getting a production issue in the real project, it is expected. So as I told you, this is the problem, like edge case and load of the data. So what you will do, once you finalize, you got some issues in the productions, you will be ensured that the same issues will not happen in the productions. So we'll add some new test cases according to the issues, and pre-productions testing, you will do that kind of corner cases testing going forward, and monitoring and alert. After that, once you did, you have to do. So all these things you will have to take care. So these are the issues related to your Docker Kubernetes. So you have to know. Now coming to the AWS, I have finalized 4-5 questions in AWS as well. They will ask what are the AWS component or what are the AWS services you used in your project and why you used. So you can say I am using EC2 for running our instances or applications. I am using EKS for deploying or managing the orchestrations layer, and I am using RDS for the database, and I am using S3 for storing files or storing DB data and all. I am using IAM for authentication and authorization, and CloudWatch for monitoring. So you can say these are the AWS services you are using. RDS you are using for relational database, S3 for storing files, logs and backups, and IAM you are using for managing the access and security like the authentication and authorizations. So here you are using, you can say you are using CloudWatch or you are using ELK. So CloudWatch for monitoring tool and ELK as like Splunk centralized logging and all you are using. These are the very important AWS component. All component you should know about it, why it is using and what is the use case of it. All these things you have to know as a developer. Okay, so they will ask what are the services you are using, why you are using, you supposed to tell about that. Then they will ask the cross questions or deeper questions. They will ask how do you design for a high availability and scalability on your AWS. So whenever you are developing applications, so what are the scenarios you have to keep in mind so that your applications will be more reliable or scalable and all. So first point is you will deploy your application in multi availability zone, so that any one zone will be break, so it will be you will handle with other zones. So load balancing by using ELK, elastic load balancing, so that your traffic will be redirect, so your application will not be overburdened. So you will use auto scaling by using Amazon auto scaling concept, so that your applications will be able to manage at the peak times. So you can say like I am using Amazon EKS for architecture layer kind of things, and we are using Amazon RDS and multi availability zone for the availability and scaling. So all these things you can speak, and we are using for monitoring and alert, you are using CloudWatch, Amazon CloudWatch. So you say that these are the services I am using so that my applications will be high availability and scalability. So as a developer you have to know all these services. It is really useful, you should know about it, and you should be able to explain any of the cross questions they will ask accordingly as per your answer. Now next question is how do you handle AWS outage or service limits. So now the question is, because of this multi availability design, so your AWS applications, your applications never be down, and you will not feel any slowness because of auto scaling or failures. And if any failures, partly if any of the service is failing and you are handling by using this circuit breaker or resilience forge, you are sending a timeout or you are sending a proper message, alert message or some pop-up to the users that currently our payment service is not working, please try after some times. So you can use those mechanisms to make sure that your application will not be fully outage. Okay, so you are using some backup recover strategy, like any disaster will come, that times you are having backup files of your customer data, you can restore and you can recover some of the customer data. Okay, and how you are monitoring, you are using this AWS services for monitoring, CloudWatch and Amazon CloudWatch for monitoring alerts. Okay, so all these services is you are using so that you will be make sure that your application is fully outage, means you will never get a fully outage, it will be partial outage in an emergency if your service is not working. So you will increase your pod number of pod by auto scaling and all these scenarios you will take care of it. Okay, now 2-3 questions also I have collected for these AI tools. So they will ask, as a developer you should use AI tools in 2026. If you are not using AI tools, so you are not a smart developer. So almost all companies, they are using AI tools to smarter their work. So they will ask how you are using your AI tools. So what are the AI tools you are using? They will ask it. These are the questions. Is very common questions. You say that we are using AI tools by configuring it by into our applications or into our ID, like GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT or IntelliJ AI or Spring AI. So these are the AI we are using. AI is nowadays is helping to code or fast and to understand our requirement. So to work fast and to understand our requirements or legacy codes, or to remove the boilerplate codes and to write the JUnit test cases. So it is helping to improve our code. All these things it is helping. So you can say how you are using and what are the AI tools you are using. You can say these are the AI tools I am using: ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, Spring AI, SonarQube. So the Spring AI, it is using in your Spring Boot applications to make your applications very faster and you can code very fast. It will help you. And this GitHub Copilot, it is helping you to write the JUnit and it is helping you to understand the codes. All these things is helping. So you can say these are the AI tools I am using in my applications or code. So now they will ask, if you are using AI tools and you ask some queries to AI tools and they have fixed some issues or they have given some codes, how you will be ensure that like your AI code, whatever given, it is secure and optimized and productions ready. That means whatever AI suggested code, how you will validate that suggested code is optimized code and it is required for your applications, or it is productions compatible code, or it is optimized or as you need as per your teams. All these things, how you will validate. So definitely you say that any code, any fix I am doing by using AI, I will manually review and I will check is there any security or vulnerabilities issues the code provided by the AI. The code quality will check by using this SonarQube AI tools, or manually you can review the codes. Okay, after doing all these things, you will do a one round of testing, unit testing, integration testing, then a performance validation testing also will be performed. Then if everything will be fine, then it will go to, and you will add some logs and all. So if by checking all these scenarios, if everything goes fine, then definitely your code changes. You will raise a pull request, your seniors or someone, your peers will be review your code. Then all these stages will be go before going into your production. So you can say we are maintaining this kind of process whenever we are at the time of using AI tools or manually writing the codes. So AI tool is helping to make to code faster, and it is saving our lot of times. That is absolutely true. If you don't know about AI tools, you try to know all these AI tool one by one and make use of it slowly. It is nothing. So but you have to make use of it. So these are the questions. So I have explained 35 to 40 scenario based questions. If you will go through it, all these questions, really it will help you to improve in your interview, to crack any of the interview and to work in your project. It will help, and I'm damn sure that some of the questions they will means you will face among these, like I explained. Thank you so much. If you are really getting something from this session, please like and comment your opinion. So the approach I explained, maybe you will get more ideas, like more questions you have in your mind, you can suggest that. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to this channel so that you will get such kind of discussion in my channels. Thank you so much. Let's meet in new videos.